Hi, my name is Todd Bigelow. Thanks for stopping in. This is just a short informal video series on business topics for freelance photographers. I've been a freelancer for 30 years. I'm a contributing photographer to Contact Press Images. I'm an adjunct professor of photography and photojournalism, the founder of the Business of Photography Workshop, and most recently, the author of the Freelance Photographer's Guide to Success Business Essentials. Thanks for stopping in, and I hope you enjoy the series. Hey everyone, welcome back. If it's your first time, appreciate you stopping in, and I hope you find this information useful. I want to address those of you that are worried about infringement. I get a number of emails and messages asking for guidance, advice, and so forth related to unauthorized use of your work. And I want to address the foundation of that, okay? So some people tend to kind of have that I want to go from 0 to 100 approach in dealing with somebody using your work without authorization. Immediately talking about I'm going to sue and do all these types of things without really understanding kind of some of the basic principles that you should have in place, that you should be aware of, some things that you should have in place to not only guard against infringement, but also to lay the foundation for protecting your work. So if you're worried about infringement, first and foremost, please register your work with the United States Copyright Office, okay? I have information in my book. I talk about it extensively in my workshop. There's a lot of information out there put out by various organizations that can help walk you through the registration process. I do provide a step-by-step basis in my book, but there's other. Please seek out whatever information you can, but it's not difficult to register your work. It does take a little bit of time. There are a lot of options in how you register it, and I'm not going to deal with that right now. I do have some other videos in this series that should help. And again, there's a lot of information out there for you, to get walked through the process, okay? But registering your work provides the best protection against unauthorized use when it does happen, okay? So it will allow you to have the weight of the law behind you to go ahead and get people to comply with removing your work if they're using it without authorization, and perhaps entering into some sort of settlement agreement for the lost licensing fees. Okay, so first and foremost, please make it a habit, make it part of your workflow to register your work. Okay, I do. And, I take it very seriously because I know that my work will be used without authorization, and having that registration, having that certificate as proof of registration certainly is helpful in, finding a resolution. Okay. Second, know how your site works. So your website, your blog, however, wherever you're putting your images. If you're putting your images on social media, which we all do, you're entering into agreement terms. Know those terms, know relevant cases, related to embedding and so forth, which has been, good for photographers lately as it relates to Instagram embedding. So, but you can't really set up, how Instagram is going to work for you. You can definitely choose the options for, whether or not you allow your images to be embedded. Don't, unless you don't care about, how your work is used or who is using it. But you can't really build the site. So what I'm talking about is know how your website works, know how your blog, if you have a separate blog, works. I know that my website, which is based on PhotoShelter, has an option for me to check a box, which allows for me to dismantle the right-click and save option. So if somebody lands on my site and goes ahead and tries to download the image by right-clicking and save, it'll kind of appear as if it downloads, but there's nothing there. Okay, so that's really important to me. You can, of course, watermark your images on your website. I don't like to watermark the images actually on my website because I like the images to display nicely. And of course, people can screenshot, but even if you watermark, understand that people can remove watermarks, can do all sorts of things. So there's no 100% foolproof way to prevent people from using your images, especially when we want those images to be out there in the digital world to raise awareness of our work, to raise awareness of issues, to raise awareness of our archive, and so forth and so on. Okay. But knowing that my site has the ability to dismantle, right click, and save, I obviously take advantage of that because that's one way in which I can, kind of prevent unauthorized use. On my blog, where I do display some of my work, and I also use to help in pitching my work. I create private galleries with pitches and images when I'm going and trying to get my work published by pitching it to particular publications. I have a plugin. It's very simple, free plugin that again dismantles right click and save. Okay, so when they try to right click and save, it doesn't even give the option. It's a WordPress, website. It's a word. I don't know exactly which plugin it is. I'd have to go into my site and look, but it was a free plugin. It works beautifully. I've had it on there for a number of years, and again, it prevents people from right clicking and save. Okay. I've come across friends' websites and blogs where I can click on the image and it opens up large in a separate browser, and then I can download it. Don't do that. Don't allow for those options. So picking the right platform and knowing how it works is really important for you to try to prevent people from using your work without authorization. Third, and this is something that I come across a lot, and I show this in my workshop. I call it the friend requests. Okay. And whether it's a friend or an editor, which happens all the time, requesting perhaps to view images for potential licensing, do not send your images. Do not send people your work. If you set up your website so that it functions as an archive, you can send a link to a gallery. So anybody that requests work to view work, they can view it through the link that you send them, but they don't have the download options. They can't go ahead and just save those images like if you attach them in an email and suddenly they're on their computer and their drives and so forth. Send links, okay? Now, I know that some of you are saying, well, I go out and shoot people, on assignment and then they request an image. Cool. If you like them, it worked out well, and you want to provide them with an image for their, home or whatever you so decide, I do that. But when I do, I actually make them sign a license. So I've photographed a number of athletes and celebrities and so forth over the years. And if they request something and, it's been a good shoot and they've given their time and we've gotten along, all those types of things, I'm more than happy to take care of them. But I am going to limit that usage. So I've had athletes that have requested the use because I photographed them with their families, off the field type stuff. And I'm happy to accommodate them, but I make them sign a license. There is no fee attached. So there are terms with no fee. I'm going ahead and allowing them to go ahead and print that image and hang it on their wall if they'd like in their home. Okay, that's just something I choose to do to be a nice person. But it specifically requests that that image cannot be distributed, displayed publicly, obviously published in any manner, so that way, that image doesn't get, sent out to their sponsors or their agents and then, provided to a publication that wants to run a story. You got to eliminate that from happening if you allow people to have your images because you want to be a good person and, provide something to them. Okay. So I've had a number of situations where subjects have asked me for images. I've done that. I've specifically made them sign a license. And then because of that, when they get a request for an image, what they do is they put me in touch. They know that they don't have the right, so they put me in touch with the requesting, publication, or they put that requesting publication in touch with me directly, and then I work out a licensing deal where there's a fee involved. Okay, and that's very, very standard. So again, don't release your images. Don't just send them in an email. I don't even use the Dropbox feature or anything like that. Everything is handled through my website. Okay, and if they want to view something, They can view them, but they can't download them. When it comes time to providing the images to a publication, there's a license in place. We've come to an agreement, and they've paid the licensing fee, and then they go ahead and get the download link to download the images. If it's a regular client, I'll go ahead and let them download the image first if they don't have it already, and then I'll bill them because I've worked with them previously. Last but not least, okay, and this was actually one of the first things that I mentioned to people who contact me regarding the unauthorized use of their images that they've found. I first and foremost ask anybody, okay, did you shoot those on assignment? Usually the case is yes, okay? So then immediately I ask them about the contractual terms that govern the assignment, okay? So read your contracts, all right? If you willy-nilly sign contracts and then are concerned after the fact about how those images are being displayed and published and distributed around the world, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. It doesn't really make sense. Read your contracts first before you agree to work with a particular publication, and then know what it means if you agree to that contract, because most contracts will try to get very extensive rights, including distribution to third parties. So if you're working on assignment for a particular publication or corporation or anything, and it's allowing them to distribute the images to their partners, subsidiaries, assignees. It allows them to sub-license, something you will see regularly in a contract. Then that publication, your client might have distributed the work to a third party. And if you come across that work and immediately you say, oh my gosh, they don't have the rights, I never gave them the rights, I'm going to sue them. Whoa, slow down. Go back and take a look at the contract and make sure that, those images that you did not give the rights to those images to your client to distribute and sub-license, because that's usually the case, what happens. So you don't want to go ahead and threaten anybody with lawsuits and so forth. You want to make sure that that they might have had the rights through the client that you shot those images for. So make sure you read and understand your contracts and who has the rights to your images, which includes rights to distribute, sub-license, assign to affiliates, and so forth and so on. Okay, so that's really, really important because you don't want to send an email to somebody demanding that they take an image down or requesting that they provide information on exactly where they got that use. Okay, so it's not the case that always, obviously, if you shoot for assignment, shoot on assignment under a particular contract, that doesn't mean that everybody has the rights to the work. Just make sure you know who has the rights to the work, and that way you know whether or not to proceed. Perhaps contacting a lawyer or submitting a DMCA request to have an image taken down. Okay, so to kind of summarize, register your images with the U.S. Copyright Office. Know how your site works so that you can disable right click and save so that images don't open up large in another browser. Third, don't send images as attachments to people without a licensing agreement in place. Even if it means you're providing those free of charge, you can still provide a licensing agreement, and I do, without any fee attached. And then, of course, read your contracts, okay? That should help alleviate some of the worries about infringement. There's nothing that's 100% to make sure that you're clear on that I know that infringement will occur even if you do all these things. But these things will help, and they will, maybe put your mind at ease a little bit. Okay. Hope that helps. A lot of that information is in my book and in my workshop, so feel free to check those out if you think you have time, and can drop into the workshop or grab a book and go ahead and browse through that a little bit more extensively. All right. Thanks for stopping back by. Hope to see you again soon.